you're fine. I pulled up. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to today's session of the Furbabies podcast. It is Sunday, and we are so excited to have Arlene Klein on with us this morning for this session. Now, there are so many things I could say about Arlene, and let me just tell you a little bit of back history with Arlene. Arlene has sat on the Morris Animal Foundation board for over 20 years and is now, she's been an emeritus member of that, which is lifetime. She's been on the Specialist for Animals Foundation, Inc. She's been on the Humane Society of Sarasota County, the board of directors of Southeastern Guide Dogs, Inc. She's been on the board of the Dog Writers Association of America. There are few people, I know a lot of amazing people in this world, and I'm blessed to know them. And there are a few people who have just a list like this. And when you look at the list, it's more than just words on paper. It is just indicative of decades and decades and decades of someone who loves animals so much that has been her passion her entire life, aside from her children and her grandchildren and her husband. But she loves animals so much, and she'll be the first one to tell you she has been a voice for those animals when no one else could. And she's done this across so many different avenues and so many different channels in life, well before we had anything that looked like social media does today. So we're honored and we're appreciative to have you here with us. And Arlene is going to sit down and talk with us about the joys of having a fur baby. And there's a lot of things that go into that, but ultimately at the end of the day, they are what bring us so much joy. So Arlene, I will turn this over to you, and thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you for that beautiful introduction. And thank you so much. I'm honored to be part of this summit because you have some amazing people that have been speaking. And if your audience listens, takes heed, life with their babies will be so much better for them and for their babies. I've always talked about mission, vision, and purpose. And my vision is to be the voice for those that can't speak for as long as I can, as long as there's breath in my body. And hey, folks, I'm 82 years old, so I don't know how much longer I'll keep on going, but I'll stay in the fight, okay? I will speak for them. And so that would be my mission. My vision is that I can really educate enough people to see the beauty, and I will use the word beauty, of the human-animal bond. There's nothing better in this world. And as Stephanie said, I'm a wife of almost 63 years. I'm a mother of grown children in their 60s. In fact, today is my son-in-law's 60th birthday, so that gives you an idea. And grandchildren in their 20s, who I'm so proud of them, and my children too, because I've left a legacy. If I leave nothing else, I've left my love of and respect for animals to them. They all have rescue animals, and they are pet parents second to none. They truly are. I'm so proud of them. And our one daughter that's in Chicago actually is involved with helping ferals in addition to having her own. And she was a foster failure. And then another one took a dog from Houston, cross country, did it on motor transport, met it in Seattle. And that dog is as happy as a clam. And so we have all these grand dogs, great grand dogs, great grand cats, and they're as happy as my animals. They've lived good, they're living good lives. So, and my purpose is that we should never, ever, ever in our whole life have to see an animal that's abandoned, that's lost, that's abused, that's neglected. That's a big purpose. It's a big purpose because it's heartbreaking to see this. These are really innocent animals. Can I take a second and read something to you? Because I had written a book on pet loss. You know that. Okay.
Yes.
And this I did 2 copies. So it was 2 copyrights. The first one was done in 1995. It was redone in 2011 because a lot of things changed. And also I went with a cover that was in color. And these are all poems. And Betty White, may she rest in peace, she did the foreword for this. She was a very close friend of mine when I sat on the Morris Animal Foundation board with her, and for all the years thereafter. We became really good friends. So one of these poems is called, hang on, folks.
You're good.
Of course, I'm turning to every page except the page that I want here. Does that figure? No. Hang on. It's not a big enough book to have oh my goodness. Come on, Arlene. That's what happens when you get old. Okay, how many sunsets? So I'm showing cats and dogs. And this is shelter related. How many sunsets? They wait, they watch, they barely utter a sound, yearning to be free from shelters bound. Will a proper home for them soon be found? On page after page in newsletters that arrive are the pitiful faces of those who will not survive, neglected and abused, cast aside because no one cared. Will someone adopt them? Will their lives be spared? All of them have so much potential to establish their worth, to be someone special. Or will they be victims who needlessly die, robbed of their years, their happiness denied? How many sunsets before they're no longer here? Will anyone mourn them or shed a tear? They're gone. No longer do they wait. My hope as they rest beyond heaven's gate is that every man we can educate, and woman, that animals are a gift from above, given to us to cherish and love. These are not objects. These are living beings that deserve respect, deserve to be treated with kindness, and never, ever to be victimized. And there's millions of them. That's why this is wonderful what Stephanie has done, because you learn what's going on out there. It's not the pictures you want to look at. It's not what you want to hear about. It's easier to just, bury our head in the sand. But nobody wants to do that. And by having these animals, I always felt that the best teacher were the animals themselves, living with them, interacting with them, observing them, learning what they're all about. The time that we spend with them is so well invested, because what you put in is what you're going to get out. That's that bond. And there's just nothing that can replace it. Forgive me, and I'll say it for Betty White too, because she said it all the time. We like animals better than people. They're kind. They're kind. They do things instinctively, but there's nothing, it's unconditional. It's just an unconditional love. And they're really precious creatures who deserve our love and our respect, and to be able to live long, healthy lives with one person. Now, things happen. Owners die. I'm old now, and I took a rescue cat 2.5 years ago, and I'll tell you about her. But my biggest concern, what happens to her? What happens? Well, my children will take her. My daughter will take her. But even that's of concern to me. She's a reason for me to try to stay healthy, to live long, and try to live out her lifetime. And at least, I'm here for her, because even if she would go to my daughter's, it's going to be a huge adjustment. She's a cat. She's different than a dog, very different. And I speak from experience, because I spent my lifetime with dogs. And I showed Yorkshire Terriers for almost 35 years, little yappy bedroom slippers I had running around the house. And we had as many as 6 at a time. And they were precious, truly, truly precious. They taught me everything I knew about being in a ring with a dog. They taught me everything. They taught me patience. And I loved them to the moon and back. The last one died in 2012. Well, he said, you need fur at your feet. So sorry, but you have to have something. So what did he send me? He sent me a cat. Whole different ballgame. And she was, it couldn't have been any better as far as how he delivered her, because she was under the car, under my granddaughter's car in another city. I live in Sarasota. That cat was in Orlando. So my daughter cared for her. And then we went up and I said, what's with this cat? And she said, Mom, I didn't even want to tell you. It's a couple weeks since Scout has gone. I know you're crushed. She's been hanging around. I've been feeding her. We haven't brought her in because they had a Shih Tzu because of Sesame. And she said, but we're feeding her. We're keeping her warm. We're doing what has to be done. Okay. So we start advertising and we call the police. We call rescues. We call shelters. We put signs up all over the place. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We take her to the vets. She's not microchipped. And at that point, I said, I'll take her home. Well, it was interesting. It was truly interesting. She had claws, and I'm hearing under the bed at night. She's tearing the place apart, tearing the place apart. I'm used to dogs that I, gave the world to. And now what do I do with this cat? I have her for just a few days. My husband has a heart attack and flatlines. Now I've got a husband in a hospital. I've got a cat that I have no idea what I'm doing. And there I was. And it was, you better learn fast. It's not a dog. And she needs a home. And get with it, lady. You're an animal pest person. So I did. And she was precious. And we loved her. We just loved her. And I taught her tricks. And she had a wonderful home and she was smart as a whip. And then she became a cover girl for one of the magazines here in Sarasota. And they came, took professional pictures. She was so obliging. And it was all very sweet and very cute. We had her for just 7 years. And she passed from kidney disease. So she joined the dogs. So I have 11 at Rainbow Bridge. And I say that to people and they say, oh my God, how did you get through with just one? It's never easy, but there's always another that you have love in your heart that you want to help. And they seem to know that. So that's how I got involved with tanks, by the way, because we started to go down to the sanctuary. And of course, after Nala was gone, well, let me back up with Nala. You want me to go about Wink, or you want me to go into, what would you like me to do, Stephanie?
Go back. You can
kind of all
talk about, yes, they go in a timeline. Yeah.
Okay. So
I was grabbing a photo of Nala. So.
Oh, do you have one there?
I do.
She was adorable. And I feel like I see her every day because Missy is on Science Diet, Adult Light. And every day that I open the bag, I'm looking at Nala. It's a tabby with big green eyes. And anyhow, so now we take her little body and we go to the crematory. And they're personal friends of ours. This is Barbara and Ray Bounds, and they own Bellspur Oaks Crematory, pet crematory. Wonderful people. They are very involved, by the way, with the trap, neuter, and return.
This is Miss Nala.
There's Nala. There she is.
Our beautiful girl.
My sweetheart. She was a doll. She was.
I loved that cat.
Pardon me?
I said, I loved that cat. I knew that cat. I remember that cat. We talked about her before she passed away, and it just was.
She was darling. She was just a sweetheart. So now we take this body and we go up to Barbara and Ray's, and I wanted to select an urn. And here I am Ron was with me, and our hearts are crushed. Absolutely just speechless with all this. And now I turn behind and I see a cat in a crate. And I said to Barbara, what's all this about? And she said, well, I'm going to name him Wink because he's one eye. And I said, well, what's wrong with him? And she said, he's been injured. He's a feral. He's been injured and he needs surgery. Well, there he is. Okay, you have him there. And it resulted in the eye being removed. Well, we were so taken with this cat that it eased the blow of what I just lost. And anyhow, so time moved along. The cat had surgery. This was a whole team effort because Ray couldn't even get near this cat. In addition, the cat was infested with worms. So he was a pretty sick cat. And he was very fearful. And he was not cooperative because he was so frightened. So Ray really had to go after him with like a fishnet just to get a hold of him, just so he could medicate him and do what had to be done. It was pathetic, but they were doing what they had to do to help that cat. So anyhow, he had the surgery, and then Dr. Walker and Reese Miller, they were coming out in the middle of the night to see him. Here he is. He's a Tanks here. This was already a Tanks. And a few weeks went by. He was healing a little bit. And we picked him up. Oh, I called Cindy. And I said, we've got a special needs cat here. I said, he can't go back out into the colony. He can't fend for himself. Will you take him? God bless her. She said yes. So Ron and I picked him up from Bellsborough, and we transported him. And it was a rough go. It was so rough because he was scared to death and also healing from an eye surgery and having to adjust to seeing with one eye. She couldn't get near him. It took time, and it took patience, and it took understanding. We visited him every week. He finally got to learn my voice. In due time, he took chicken from me. We would go every week, and we would take chicken, fresh chicken that was roasted, and we would feed all of her cats, and it was a happening. So that was the story with Wink. The best part of the story is Wink became a house cat at Tanks. Wink is in bed with Cindy.
Yes.
Yes. Wink has taken over. He's smart, he's sweet, he's wonderful, and he's got a wonderful home. She has beagles in the house, loves the beagles. There he is. Hey, boy. He loves all the other cats. He has his girlfriends. She's on many acres. He goes out, he comes in, but mostly he's staying in. He's staying in because he's smart. He's not going anywhere anymore. So that's Wink's story. So here we are going to Tanks every week and feeding these cats. And she said, don't you want one of these cats? Look at this one. And look, this is his girlfriend, and I forget what her name is. And
it's
she
Pixie.
Oh, that's
Pixie?
Pixie. That's
Pixie.
right. Pixie. And I think that's the one that was having seizures. And he would kiss her, and you know, it's just to watch them, just to learn from them. They're beautiful. They kind.
Are beautiful.
They're kind. Isn't he adorable?
He is gorgeous. I just love him.
Sweet? Yeah.
And he healed so well.
He did.
So
He really
well.
did. And we're just so tickled pink that he's so happy. But this was a group effort. You know, one of us could not have done this without the other. So it was a beautiful thing. Barbara and I had talked about writing a book. Well, then the pandemic came and this happened and that happened. And we never did. You know, life got in the way. And she's very busy because she's involved with, it's actually a satellite from Best Friends with the trap, neuter, and return. So she saves a lot of animals, a lot. I don't know which one this one is that he's with, but you could see they're in bed there.
They're so happy.
They're very.
I just wanted to share that while you were talking. They're so happy.
I'm glad you shared that. Yeah, I have a whole gallery of him, and he's just adorable, he and his friends. So we sponsor him, and for just $20 a month, you could sponsor one of her cats and really help her to help them. And she gives them a wonderful, wonderful home. Some of them will never, ever leave there. Most of them won't, because they're minus an eye, they're minus a tail, they're minus an ear, they're sick, they're aged. There's a lot wrong. And she's amazing. I think somebody cloned her and there's 10 of her, because it's impossible to do what she does and to do it as well as she does. She's an amazing woman. So, and then she started, well, what would you like? You don't have Nala. Don't you want a cat? In the meantime, the Yorkie people, they were all over me. Oh, don't you want a dog? And I said, I want nothing. I want nothing now. I have to think about it. So she said, well, look at this cat. Look at this cat. I said, no, can't be. I can't have green eyes. Can't have tabby. Can't this. And anyway, that was the end of it. We went home 15 minutes later. I'm home. I was an hour later. We were home, but 15 minutes after we were finally in the house, I get a call from her. Guess what's coming in? I said, I have no idea. What's coming in? A rag doll, 4.5 years old, spayed, microchipped, just pretty gorgeous. What's wrong with her? She was owner surrendered. Owner surrendered. It's like, this is really not happening. A rag doll? These cats are a fortune. Sweet as pie. Well, why? Well, they said she was a biter. Okay, well, I think you need a reason if you're going to own or surrender. So, whatever it was. She was an old woman. I'm an old woman too, but I would never do such a thing. But in the meantime, they observed that cat for 10 days. There was no show of aggression. They couldn't adopt her there. She was in another county. They couldn't adopt her because if something did happen, they would have been held legally. Cindy gets the call. And of course she said, I'll take the cat because I know who will have the cat, who will adopt this cat. And sure enough, within 24 hours, and this was all of 6 weeks after we lost Nala, which I wasn't going to do any. No more cats, no more dogs. My husband and I went down and I said, let's see if it's a match. Well, she climbed from under, she was hiding. She was under a crate and she came out. He sat on the floor and she jumped right in his lap. That was it. So I said, taking her home. I didn't have a crate with me. I didn't have a check with me. I had nothing because I didn't know. I was so, unsure at that point. And anyhow, so that was the start of Missy. Well, Missy came with a lot of problems. And it's taken me 2 years to really get to where she is now. She's amazing. She is absolutely amazing. The only thing that's still problematic, but as I listened to your former speaker talking, they don't always want to be with everybody. Well, she wants to be with us. But when company comes, where's the cat? Nobody ever sees the cat. So that's where we are. But she loves me and she loves him and she's an amazing cat. So, hi, Miss.
She's so precious.
Isn't she sweet?
She is very sweet.
Big blue eyes that are not quite showing up there. But she's big. These rag dolls are very big.
She is a big girl.
She's a big girl.
She is.
Yeah. She's about 14 pounds, 8 ounces, and she's big. So I recently taught her tricks. You can do that with cats. Just get into their heads. Just get into their heads and think like they think. And cats really do think much differently than dogs. But I'm having a lot of fun with her. So when she doesn't want something, she takes one of those big paws and she pushes. Like, don't bother me. So she did it one day and I said, oh, shake, paw, give paw. And I handed her a treat. She kind of looked because she's very food driven. Okay, we did that 3-4 times. Well, now we shake, we give paws. She's so balanced and her rump is so big because of her size that she sits up like so. Well, I'm holding her there, but she does that on her own, on her hind. So I said, oh, sit on hinds. So she goes up, treat. And now we have her doing 2 tricks. So this is evening entertainment. We're definitely not getting the weight down as my veterinarian would like for me to get a few ounces off of her. But her psyche is more important to me. And I think that that's something that is very important for every pet person to know. It's not just about feeding and grooming, but that they should be made to feel as a member of a family. They're social animals. You know, you're part of this family. Don't lock them away. Don't do those things to those animals. Talk to them. I talk to them all the time. And this is when I was just taking her from, that was the day I took her from Tanks, that we took her home. Hard to resist. She was just such a gorgeous cat. And somebody knew I liked fur. I mean, I had Yorkshire Terriers that were show dogs. So I loved beautiful coat. And I am just, you know, I'm embracing all this. It's beautiful. Another joy of having my fur baby. So I did a video. I was saying to Stephanie years ago, we didn't have podcasts. We didn't have all this. 32 years ago, I did a video on responsible pet ownership. And we did a day in the life of a dog. It's on YouTube. Lilliput presents a day in the life of a dog. And we went through a whole day of what living with these animals is all about. The grooming, the socializing, the training, just everything. It was very geared to the dogs because there were 5 dogs there. And I had fighters. I had terriers. We had to separate. We had gates. We had crates. You never put a blue bow together with a red bow because not a good thing. We'd have a fight. And some of them, you know, just had to live like that, but they all got their attention. And I gave a lot of time to those animals. So it all worked. It all worked. But I'm applying all that to the cats. And that worked too. It worked with Nala. She was an easier cat. She was much easier. This one had a lot of head problems, but we're solved now. She was afraid of bags. She was afraid of pillows. She was afraid of everything. And you couldn't say no because it was like somebody was killing her. So she did not have a home. She was gorgeous and she was beautifully groomed, which I've let her natural coat grow in now. She came to me. She had a big mane. And I mean, she looked like a diva, like a diva. Now she's au naturel. She's brushed. I couldn't get down past her neck. I couldn't get any farther on her. She was so upset and so unhappy and so frightened. We do it all now. And we cut nails and we ears and everything. No problem with her at all. She's a doll. Positive reinforcement, the most important. Would you agree with that, Stephanie?
I completely agree with that. And to what you said, it takes trust and it takes time.
Absolutely.
And they are sentient beings. They have thoughts, they have feelings, they're smart.
Very.
And unfortunately, often they get mislabeled because they're afraid. But that's how they can communicate. If they're afraid, they have their paws and they have their teeth. And all that is just a no, don't do that right now. I'm afraid. Exactly. That's all that is.
You have to learn to think the way they think. And just like with the dogs, when I started out, before I did the video, I mean, you know, I've run the whole gamut. Mm-hmm. I did the video on responsible pet persons ownership, they used to call it at that time. I've done the book on pet loss. You know, I followed them all through a lifetime. They have left their legacy because when I was selling note cards and it was all these copyright beautiful cards or the watches or anything, this was all because of these dogs. I don't feel that I did anything or got to the places I got to sit on the boards that I sat on, and they don't come any bigger than Morris Animal Foundation. They are the premier. I wouldn't have met the people. I sound like a Dr. Seuss. I wouldn't have gone the places I've gone and met the people I've met if it were not for those dogs. My first show dog, the most naughty thing in this whole world, but I finished him, owner handled, 3 majors, at a national specialty show where he won over 165 Yorkshire Terriers and went best of winners over a bitch that was from Belgium. I thought there were happy people. There were some very happy people, and the roof almost caved in because of the roars, and the Ron came in with red roses and whatever. But there were some people that really hated me. I came out of, who was she? And you came up with this little dog, and look what you just did at this specialty under a judge from Japan. No politics. No politics. It was a game. It's a game. The show ring is a game. I loved it. I loved it. I was a partner with that little dog. I didn't care what was going on around me. And someone would say, you can't put that dog on your lap. He's not going to show for you. I said, who cares? He's having fun. If he doesn't win, he doesn't win. He's a winner in my mind because he's here and he's having a good time. That's all that counts. So the importance of their psyche was always just as important to me with the dogs and the cats as grooming, feeding, all of this, all of it. It takes a lot to raise an animal. And I think you have to be like James Michener, that work is play and play is work. Because if you're going to look at, oh, I have to change the litter box, or, oh, I have to do this day, do yourself a favor, do the animal a favor. Don't do it. Buy a stuffed animal, buy a pet rock. It's kinder. It really is. And I'm not being critical of people that don't have animals, although I love people that do have animals. I think they're very special. But if you can't abide by certain requirements, what is in the best interest of the animal, it's not all about what's best for you. It's about what's best for both of you. And you can make it good for both of you. You truly can. So, I mean, that's kind of, what I would say. And I hope that I've broadened the scope for people that are looking to take an animal and realize, just be happy with them and allow them to be happy, because that's the joy of the fur baby. That's the joy. And when I had 6 at one time, that was even bigger joy. It's just a very special time in my life that I'll never forget. And I'm grateful that I've had all these animals, because they've enriched my life in so many ways, truly. So what else can I tell you? Do you have any questions, Stephanie?
Let me make this bigger again?
It's designingpoet.com.
Yes.
And I really haven't
there we
kept it up very much, because I've sold the business. I donate a lot of these things. If you see something on there that you like, you want to contact me, my email's on there. Go for it, because if I have it, that it's still in some inventory here, I'll be happy to donate it. I truly will. A lot of, I think there were, Souls Never Leave. That was something else I did. This also, the booklet, this book on pet loss, this was nominated for a Dog Writers Association of America Maxwell Award in 1991. And it's really helped so many people that it makes me feel good. I still get sales. It's on Amazon. There's a lot of people that are buying this every month, more than the book that I wrote on Ron. So more. Well, the truth of the matter is, because this is not a time-dated thing. Animals are dying all the time. And if it can help, then you read. And you'll learn to smile through your tears, because you'll remember the good times. You try to remember them in a good place. Yeah. And, not to have that last haunting memory that's going to continue to haunt you of when they were going down because of age and illness and all that. So, and then following that, I did Souls Never Leave. And that was when Scout died. That was my last. He was my heart. I mean, I loved all my dogs, but
he was your baby.
That's Dusty. That was my first show dog. That was Champion What was your name, darling? Lilliput's Lord. No, that was Lord RJ. I can't remember. I can't remember. But they've all been, there's Nala when she was on the cover of Suncoast, 3rd annual cutest kitty contest. And she was very cooperative.
You were doing social media and things in the community, even when it wasn't, wild like it is now. So you've done so much.
I'm not smart like you are.
Oh, yes, you are.
I mean, you guys are so on top of all this. Ron and I are not. We're not. After a while, I don't know the theory behind on it. So if something glitches, help, I don't know what to do. But, I can get on, I can do this kind of stuff. And as you see, I've written a lot of poetry, independent. This is a poem for Missy. This was Missy's. Do you have time? Would you like to hear this?
Yes. I think actually that would be beautiful for us to close out with.
Okay.
I do.
Let me find her. It was in here somewhere. Papers. Okay. I'll waste my own time here. Okay. Missy, where is my? Hang on.
And you've had her now for 2 years, and she's made. One thing I wanted to point out was there are a lot of people out there who might be considering taking in a special needs or a kitty or a dog that is they have, I don't really want to say socialization issues, but they have maybe trauma issues, or they're just very afraid. And it's not something that's going to happen overnight, because they go through and they break down walls and barriers, and they learn how to trust humans again. So it does take time with them. And if you can take it from the stance of being patient and working to regain their trust, it's all baby steps. One day it's like either it happens in little gradual pieces. So maybe they come up and they take a treat from you, or maybe they come up and they rub against your arm or your foot or your leg, or they come up to you in the crate, and then one day the light bulb flips, the switch turns on, and they're sleeping on your head. And you trust. Can pick them up. So
yeah, she comes out for my housekeeper now because she's here once a week. But if anyone else comes, my 2 grand boys, I mean, they stand 6 feet tall, and my son were here yesterday. They have no idea what she looks like except for a picture. Well, here's this in this is what I wrote when I took her.
Okay.
The magic of Missy. What is a God wink? A miracle come true, a gift on the horizon, happiness anew. The days were few since Nala died. My heart was broken. Many tears I cried. Then came a call that turned sadness to joy. I bet a 4-year-old ragdoll cat to love and enjoy. The mystery of her past, I could not understand why her owner surrendered her to a shelter and said goodbye. It was a miracle. It was a sign. It was a message sent. She would be mine. She was transported to a sanctuary where she would stay until I went to get her the very next day. She crawled from under a crate so we could meet, so furry, gorgeous, gentle, and sweet. I picked her up and cuddled her in my arms, assuring her I would do her no harm. I placed her in a carrier for the short journey home, and soon she was free to investigate and roam. She seemed content, but then fearful and timid. My observation, in her other life, she had limits. I think the word no was a constant in her past. I avoided saying it, not wanting her fears to last. She was afraid of towels, pillows, and bags, obvious signals that sent up a red flag. Things had been thrown at her, so sad. The mystery was solved, a not so kind owner she had. Missy needed her space, to say the least. With my patience and understanding, soon her fear ceased. In a matter of months, she was content as a lamb, purring and cuddling, as happy as a clam. Why would anyone not be kind to an innocent animal? Cruel thoughts in their mind. Love, respect, a gentle touch to all God's creatures means so much. What is a God wink? A miracle come true. My magical Missy, with eyes so blue. This is my story told by my mommy. Meows, Missy.
I'm going to send everybody else out to get tissues now because that is beautiful. I'm serious.
There's nothing to cry about with her. But I try not to think about the past. I really don't with her because she's a very happy cat.
Mm-hmm.
She's so happy. And I should say it as a secret because I lived with dogs all my life and there's nothing in the world like them. But having the cats, I really have to say, I think they're a little smarter than the dogs.
My cats would agree with you.
Well, I think she would too. I think she definitely would.
I think Missy definitely does.
She's a diva.
Nala knew a few things about that too. Nala definitely knew some things about that. Nala was, wow.
She even has her own iPad and she selects her programs. She sits and watches as Ron changes the programs.
We'll have to share some of those in the group. I've had some people that have asked about that, like, what can I put up for my cat while I'm gone, or my dog, or things for them to watch and play. A friend of mine, she's got a Siamese, and I'm trying to think of the name for his coloring. He's beautiful. He's one of our transports. And he plays on the iPad and he makes little paw prints for artwork. And then she prints them out and she used to send them out as Christmas cards. And it was just,
oh, I love it.
You cry when you get them because it's happy tears, but it was so cute.
These are YouTube cat. Some of them play for as long as 11 hours. And some of them are underwater. It's fish and turtles. And it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. And they play music. And then she has one that it's an eel. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a real exciting one. So she gets so excited, she jumps on the iPad, or she carries the iPad. And now, of course, she turns it off. And then she comes back looking for Ron to get her back on again. I mean, it's a hoot. But she's just, sad as this sounds. Now she's 7 years old. She's turned 7 in June. So she's almost 7. Yeah, 7. She's 7. June. Where are we here? She's going to be. No. I'm sorry. She turned 7 in December. In December, we had taken her in June. That was an adoption date. December 11th is her birthday. I had all her papers because she was owner surrendered. Everything was on there. Her vaccinations, her microchip, everything was there, which is kind of nice, because you have a little bit of history. But she didn't know how to play with toys. She had no idea what toys were. And now she likes interactive the most. She wants our attention. She will take some things and she'll flip them and whatever. But for the most part, she wants interactive play. So it's wands or she was cute. I had something up on Facebook the other day where Ron was playing with her and she was dancing all over the chairs and he had a wand in her face. So, she's wonderful. She's wonderful. And I hope to be around for many more years so she doesn't have to have any more changes in her life, really.
I do too.
Yeah.
Arlene, we have talked for a long time about this stuff, and we could talk about this for a lot more. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on this today and talking about all of this. We love you too. We love you, Ron.
Thank you.
We love you, Missy. But
I will tell her that. I will.
We'll share some of this in our group, and it was for us too. Thank you, and thank you for sharing the legacies.
But congratulations to you on taking something like this on and doing it, because I know it's a big undertaking, but kudos. You did great.
Thank you. I've had a lot of help. So I thank you.
I know, but you know what? He's wonderful, and keep all those babies happy and healthy. And that's what counts. Okay.
We will.
Love you.
Thank you. We love you too.
Bye-bye.
Talk soon.